Hi there, Consuelo. Well done writing these new essays for your IELTS preparation. Let's get right into this correction. Okay, the data given by the World Car Organization illustrates the car ownership in England during 1993 and in Scotland during 1995. It also gives information about the sales of VW in both countries. Okay, from 1990 to 1998. Fine. What stands out from the pie charts is that in 1995, most of the population in Scotland were owners of their cars, 65%, and the remaining 35% was shared between shared and leased cars with 25%. Okay, there's something missing here, so let's do it like this. What stands out from the pie charts is that in 1995, most of the population in Scotland were owners of their cars, 65%, while the remaining 35% was shared between shared and leased cars with 20 and 15% respectively. Okay, all right. So the line graph demonstrated that, adding both countries, the highest rate of car sales was in 1997, reaching up to nearly 300,000. It's true. Okay. Followed by 1990 and 1998, which had similar sales between them, 290 and 280,000. Don't forget to write respectively. The lowest peak, I think you mean peak, but we don't really talk about the lowest peak. The lowest point of sales was in 1995 with only 200,000. The rest of the years included in the study maintained mostly, remained mostly steady with slight fluctuations from approximately 210 to 230,000. Now, all right, there's a couple things happening here. Now, you did some good things. Okay, that's for sure, but let's talk a little bit about what's missing or so forth. You started talking about 1995 first, then talking about 93. Yeah, I guess that's one way you could do it, although logically, I mean, maybe this is just a personal preference, but I like to take these tasks kind of chronologically. So it starts in 93, that's the first year you talk about, and then you say how the next year, whatever it is, 1995 or what have you, and how that compares to the previous year that you've already spoken about. So that's one way you could have done this. The rest of it was fine as far as the pie charts are concerned. I felt that here there was some missing data. Line graph. So you talked about totals, but you didn't talk about the individual countries. I mean, yeah, that's what was missing for me. I mean, you didn't talk about the individual countries. You treated them as a whole, and so that for me shows. Yeah, that's it. That's where I ended. That for me shows some really, really crucial information missing, basically, here, okay? Because you talked about the totals, and that's good, but some of these numbers are really interesting. And when I say that, it's really very simple, actually. You could have just said that the numbers in Scotland fluctuated from 100 and, I don't know, maybe 40,000 to like 190,000, whatever that is, or 200,000 throughout the years in question, whereas there was the numbers for England were far lower. This looks like it's around maybe, I don't know, when they saw 40,000. And they go as high as this, which is, I don't know, you'd have to do the math and see what that is. But I would like to see something like that. And you could say, like, which year was the highest, which year was the lowest, and so forth and so forth. So that information was missing for me. So you did, I mean, what happens with a lot of these is a lot of people talk about the individual countries and they don't talk about the total, whereas you talked about the total and you didn't talk about the individual countries. So that was information that for me was missing and that was necessary. Okay, so that's an issue of task response. It would certainly affect your score because you didn't talk about the individual countries in line graph. So let's go to this. Democracy is under its biggest threat due to global capital markets, and we have no more control. Okay. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have debated about how democracy is nowadays under threat and governments have lost power because of global capital markets, plural. Now, careful with this. You're pretty much using exactly the language that was used in the prompt. You've just changed a couple of verbs around, but other than that, it's exactly what's written in the prompt. So do try to take some risks, change it up a bit. Okay. I personally agree with both statements. This says he will discuss both views, giving examples from the Chilean Social Council and a big tobacco multinational to demonstrate and prove arguments. Fine. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that democracy could be powered down with the capitalism. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means to be powered down with capitalism. This is largely because presidential candidates who have more money could use this to influence people's election towards choosing them. No, this could influence people's vote. This could influence people's choice of candidate. Okay, that's how you would express this. In this way, in this way, people without this is that. So in this way, people would not be free to choose what they really want. For example, recent empirical research by the Chilean Political Council demonstrated that in Chile, wealthy candidates have more risk to buy votes for themselves. What do you mean risk? More opportunities to buy votes for themselves than the ones that do not have such wealth. Consistent with this line of thinking is that the right of free elections here, free, and therefore democracy could be hindered. Thus, it is possible to say beyond a doubt that this occurs in most countries of the world. Okay? Fine. Then, on the other hand, even though most nations at this time tend to govern under the policy of choosing freely or the population rule, the domination of multinationals over governments cannot be overstated. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, some global companies are nowadays bigger and have more influence on the population than their own leaders. Secondly, multinationals are economically more powerful than some countries and their governors, because it's multinationals, so their governors, and the countries, their governors. So, taking for example Philips, a tobacco company. You're missing a subject here. It wanted to sue the British government here if they introduced plain packaging on cigarettes because this measure would reduce its consumption. You're missing a PTION. As a consequence, England's had to act against their belief with an F, no VE. Otherwise, they might have to pay a large amount of money. Therefore is one word with an E at the end. It's one word. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that government are losing control over their power because of the global capital market. Alright, so that was well done. So, from the arguments and examples given, I agree with both statements mentioned, but more firmly I agree that the electorate has lost control of their government. Okay, that was clear. So basically, you did a lot of things that I liked, your Consuelo. You were very clear with your introduction. I was a little concerned about your development of the task because this one is kind of tricky and a lot of people have a hard time with it, but you handled it quite well. So well done. Now what you need to do is you need to correct your essays. You need to add the errors to your correction list. Send these back to us with your next essays, okay? This way we can help you continue to improve by providing feedback. So do begin to write. Do send them back to us. I'll be here. I'll be waiting, looking forward to them. All right? So that's the end of this video correction. I wish you lots of luck with your writing.